We now have more information on the United Healthcare CEO shooter, who has been identified and then thirsted over on social media. The reaction, I think, has really puzzled many figures on the right. I listened a little, against my better judgment, to Candace Owens, and maybe we'll play that later, repeatedly emphasizing how he went.
You mean Red Pill Black?
Right.
Which was how she entered my life, as that was her name.
that is a 4chan-esque entry into political commentary. But like, she was emphasizing repeatedly that he went to Penn, an Ivy League school. And then I see that a lot of other conservative media is running with this because they can't reckon with not what Luigi's motivations were, and I can't pronounce his last name. Mangione. What Luigi Mangione's motivations were. They can't reckon with it. Because like, if he was a class traitor, which perhaps that's the case, it kind of almost adds to the universality of the experience under our for-profit healthcare system. But either way... You
know who else went to Penn, by the way?
Who?
Donald Trump.
There you go. What? He was in immense pain, and it's an awful story no matter how you slice it. And murder is not justifiable, but you can understand how somebody who may have had a break may have gotten to that place given the lack of care or their inability to access care. And I'm less interested in his particular motivations. I'm way or ideology because it's largely irrelevant. So, because as we showed yesterday with the way that Ben Shapiro's audience reacted to him criticizing the reaction to the shooter, this is a universal experience under for-profit healthcare in this country. So I find it a little odd when people are trying to pick apart his political ideology. It matters very little to me. What matters is how the rest of Americans have basically, many of them, perhaps it's more on the younger side, but many of them have said, I kind of get it. Because that is how violent our for-profit healthcare system is.
It should not be a shock to people that when you say, hey, here's a private healthcare CEO, and people's first response isn't to be, oh, I'm very sympathetic and worried about his family. No, they're thinking about all the families that this person and his business destroyed.
And this is going to be a bit of an issue for Fox News. So here's Laura Ingraham reacting to the news about the shooter last night on her program.
We'll dig into it later. The Instagram posts from nutbag people, which I was sent in the commercial break earlier, crazy. Like, he's cute, and people celebrating this. This is a sickness. Honestly, it's so disappointing, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And up next, the other big news out of New York, Daniel Penny. A lot of people think he's a hero, and tonight he's not guilty. My take next.
Oh!
We'll dig in.
There's no ambiguity about whether Daniel Penny did or did not kill Jordan Neely. We know that he did. We've seen the video of him holding him in a chokehold for minutes on end. He had training that would indicate to him that when a body goes limp like that, and when Neely was like under 100 pounds due to basically emaciation for being on the street, he would have known that there was something seriously wrong as his body went limp in the final minutes.
Daniel Penny's a government-trained killer.
Shoot, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. They would have, he would have known basically that he was at least making this guy pass out or harming him seriously. So they're both killers in this instance. But who is Laura Ingraham going to express her sympathy for? In the same breath, she's essentially saying, well, some people think this guy's a hero. Let's hear Jesse Waters on the 5 same day reacting to this as well.
And good, he's got it. Now, he's a prep school kid. He's politically connected in Maryland.
He's ready for prison?
I don't think anyone's ready, Brian. Maybe you are, Brian, in a different way. But this guy's not ready. He's way too soft. He's going to get annihilated on the inside. And good. If he's not going to get the death penalty, maybe someone will do him justice behind bars. That's all I have to say about that.
You should stop there.
Right. And
You should stop there, says Janine Pirro, who had enough wherewithal to basically say that to him. Fox News should keep revealing themselves in this way because, you know, we've had folk heroes in the past in history in this country. John Dillinger robbing banks to give back to farmers when they were getting ripped off, for example. This is a kind of modern version of that. In the same way that, yeah, robbing a bank, it's not justifiable, but it's understandable. Killing a healthcare CEO, completely not justifiable. Murder, obviously. But the rage, understandable. And the rage that the public has had in reaction to it, even more so. Or the understanding that they have basically displayed is really relevant at this current moment.
I'm sorry, what's offensive to me is not that people, when the existence of a healthcare CEO is forced on their consciousness by a news story, react with, F that guy. What's offensive to me is the entire media trying to make that reaction somehow pathological. And actually, maybe we should be sympathetic about these people who are sucking the life out of American people.
I mean, more than 20 million Americans have medical debt that is over $1,000. Half of those have medical debt that is over $2,000. It is the leading cause for bankruptcy in this country. An estimated $200 billion exists of medical debt, which is the size of Greece's economy, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. We have 25 million people who are uninsured in this country, but even if you are insured, you're paying an exorbitant fee on a monthly basis, whether it be through your employer or through a marketplace. Thousands of dollars, often, monthly. And then you go and you have a medical episode like, say, this kid did, Luigi did. He had, according to reports, a surfing accident in Hawaii that left him with even worse back pain or other things that he'd been experiencing. And we don't know the specifics of what he was denied, but we do know that his medical situation radicalized him in a certain way and the pain that he went through with that.
And I've heard that about back pain prior to this instance before. Like, that's one of the main, well, not a main one. There's all sorts of them. Anyone who has to deal with chronic pain and isn't rich is going to have a problem with their health insurance company.
And for-profit healthcare, Lancet has done an analysis a few years ago. 68,000 deaths that they say are preventable according to their analysis in 2020. Now, maybe that's dipped after COVID, but every analysis really since the 2000s have estimated somewhere between 40,000 to 70,000 people die on an annual basis due to a lack of, for-profit healthcare, driving them away from the care that they could easily get in the wealthiest country on the planet. And so, as we're hearing this framing from, I think, a lot of people who are buying into like the Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance right-wing populist thing, like Sager on Breaking Points, who I just don't agree with at all in this way. He's a good example of this, where I really do think that branding is essentially paper thin, because
it's a giant lie.
Because the money-making enterprise on the right, and what we'll always see is that Fox News drives these conversations, and the Fox News grandpas watching this in between rounds at the golf course or whatever are not going to take kindly to this kind of rhetoric, and the power players within the Republican Party, and frankly many in the Democratic Party, are going to see this as something that's threatening. But the public's response, the general 90% of people who have experience, and I'm overestimating there because whatever, there's going to be partisanship involved. But if you're going to ask most people in this country what they think about our healthcare system, you're not going to get a positive reaction.
And if you control for people who own healthcare stocks, you're even going to get a more negative reaction toward it.
Exactly. So I look forward to seeing how Fox News can spin it. My prediction is that they're going to go with the Ivy League angle, the idea that he's some sort of hypocrite. But like, look, this is the kind of thing, oddly, I'm not trying to bring myself into this, but I've gotten this before as somebody that had parents that were lawyers and I had comfort growing up or whatever. Call him a class traitor. Call me a class traitor. I don't care.
Why is it a problem when Ivy League people are doing things that challenge
But that's the problem is like we're seeing these analyses of graduates from Harvard. Something like 40% of them are going into consulting or finance. Our elite institutions shouldn't just be there to replicate wealth.
Well,
it should be
I
there
have some
to.
bad news about the history of Ivy Leagues.
Well, I know,
that
but
literally, I mean, we know that, but I'm just saying for people who don't know and might buy the Candace Owens line of things, these institutions were made as finishing schools for the rich and powerful, and like that, like people do this, and apparently they're woke or something is ridiculous.
It's silly. So I think that's like a test narrative. We'll see what they come up with
On that
at the end of this.
Jesse Waters, saying he's too soft. This is the school this is where Jesse Waters went to high school. This is the Friends School in Glen Cove, New York. So I guess he knows something about what being soft and being hard. And also Scarlet Red made this point on Twitter, but I love the implication that there's just a bunch of guys in prison ready at a moment's notice to defend the honor of health insurance CEOs as if it's like a crime against a child or something like that. No, it's not really the same. I don't think.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.